Okay, now this should be an interesting one. My God. My good God. What a change. Well, I mean, okay, I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to jinx the bagger, but, come on now. I mean, was it really that simple? Was it could I just have taken some tyrosine, which I've talked about while I was actually back at uni, and I didn't want to do it because I felt like it was kind of a drug, but, I mean, fuck it. It's not, is it? It's an essential amino acid, so, I mean, it's one that your body can't produce by itself, so you got to get it from food, and maybe, I don't know, it obviously wasn't. I don't think the cause of it was that I wasn't getting it from my food or something. Something happened that meant that I didn't have enough dopamine, tyrosine, blah, 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 in my system somehow, and I needed to replenish it, and for whatever reason I wasn't getting it from my food. Now, I've actually been taking it for a few days now, and I actually noticed, so this happened ages ago, back when I was working out for a long time. I was taking creatine tablets, and for some reason they made after taking them for about a week, I noticed my eyelids just started twitching every now and again throughout the day, and it's actually started happening again with the tyrosine. And I wonder whether it's because I just take too high doses. Well, I'm just taking the recommended dosage, but I wonder if it's suddenly taking a dosage that's too high, or if possibly I'm allergic to the capsules or something. I don't fucking know. Anywho, I feel good. I feel damn good, son. Yeah, I'm wondering. See, I started looking into it more. So I obviously ordered the 5-HTP because I was going to get that going as well. But really, and I think I've known all this time, I've always believed that it was a problem with my dopamine system. And then when obviously I went to the doctor and they prescribed me fucking SSRIs, which I don't agree with the kind of logic behind SSRIs. I think it's not a proper. I just don't like the idea of it. I think it's the wrong way to approach it. And there seems to be this kind of belief in the medical community that any kind of thing that resembles depression must be a problem with the serotonin system, and maybe there is. I'm probably going to take the 5-HTP at some point, just because I want to fucking try it. No, just because if there was what's the fucking word I'm looking for here? Scarcity of dopamine. No, that's not quite the word I wanted. Then there might also be of serotonin, maybe. But I feel for the most part fixed. I guess I just wonder if I could feel even more fixed, maybe. But yeah, but there are a couple more things. The more I was looking into it, so I can't remember why it was that I actually took tyrosine and not phenylalanine. I think it's because I wanted to get closer. Because I remember when I was learning about dopamine, it was like basically tyrosine was the main one we focused on. And then obviously to L-Dopa, which is something used in Parkinson's, which kind of puts you off a little bit, but don't worry about that. And also that has to be prescribed. Yeah, so I was thinking about maybe taking phenylalanine because that comes just before tyrosine gets converted into tyrosine, but also it goes another pathway to get converted into PEA, which is what is it? Phenylethylamine, I think. Yeah, phenylethylamine, however you want to pronounce it. And it's also phenylalanine, apparently, supposedly a constituent of aspartame or aspartame, which interests me a little bit. Quite interesting. But yeah, and also PEA, very similar in structure to LSD and methamphetamine and stuff like that. Actually looks an awful lot like Adderall, but yeah, I don't know. Apparently that's meant to be some people call it the love chemical or some shit. I always thought serotonin was the love chemical, I don't know. So I think I'm actually going to pick up some phenylalanine today, maybe. I'm going to cycle off the tyrosine for a while because it kind of worked. I want to see if the effects wear off, in which case I'll have to. And also I think I might, if I ever start taking it again, hopefully it just lost it, hopefully it was just a matter of replenishing my dopamine reserves, and it might be on your way, but I imagine that I'm probably going to have to take it every now and again, just like you're going to do with creatine when you're bodybuilding. Yeah, probably pick up a couple of phenylalanines, try them. I wanted to try tyrosine in combination with the 5-HTP tablets. Probably take the 5-HTP ones at night, because serotonin affects your sleep cycle. I don't want to get and I remember people always talk about if you eat a load of turkey on Thanksgiving and then because you consume a load of, because it's got a load of tryptophan in it, makes people feel really sluggish and tired, want to go to sleep. So I wonder if that's going to have some effect. Anyway, and I was also wondering whether I should have got tryptophan instead of 5-HTP, because I talked about not wanting to interfere with the GABA system, but really I think you should probably just do the one. I think tryptophan is more, well, it's pretty much what you can be getting from foods. It's probably what your body's used to dealing with. And two, I don't see why you deprive your body of your... Oh, I'm already fucking going to do it now, but I've bought the fucking stuff. But yeah, I don't see why you should deprive your body of the things it needs to run properly, including GABA. Obviously has some function, even though it's just not one that I think I want, but obviously probably you should probably want. So what else? Yeah, that's about it for that. Let's read some of these writings. Again, wanting to be as smart as Tesla or Turing does not give you the ability to ever be as smart as them. It's like wanting to be as fast as Usain Bolt. Some people are just better equipped in certain domains. Of course, the upbeat and humanistic types will want to believe that you shouldn't compare yourself to others, but only alternate versions of yourself. I've just lost my place now. Alternate versions of yourself. You should want to be the best you can be, and if your previous goal was to be really smart, well then you should aim to be the smartest you can be. But this is a rather hollow point, really. We're always comparing ourselves to others. It's how we define ourselves, and with good reason. Now you can choose to deny this and act like you don't care about how you compare to other people, but this will be an obvious act of self-deception. It would make sense to compare yourself to yourself if you were the only person in existence, but none of us are. Why is it easier to spot 90 degree angles than it is to spot 120 degree angles, or to estimate how to cut something at that angle? I think it's easy to see why 180 degrees is so easy, but perhaps not 90. Is it because we see so many things that at this angle that often depend on this angle for them to function? Is it really? Could it just be that it evolved? I don't know. It's just so weird. It's, as you look at the world, it's just like having a picture. If you just look at one place, it's like having a picture printed onto your face, right? Printed onto your eyeball. Obviously, if something moves, then it's a video, whatever. Okay, it's like being a camcorder, kind of. But as you look at the room, it's so easy to assess an angle as 90 degrees. I just wonder. I guess it's like. Seems like a fucking stupid point. Anyway, just wondering if there's anything to it. The more I look around, the more things there are that are at 90 degrees. It's just a really common thing. So maybe it's so common. But when you're trying to cut a cake or something, if you're trying to cut it into thirds, it's obviously harder to cut it into thirds than it is to cut it into quarters. Well, I think it is. I don't know. I guess the reason 180 is so easy is because it's just a straight line, so you can't really not. I guess you could if you confused a very kind of obtuse an angle that's almost 180, like 190 degrees. You could almost, if you were stupid, you could perceive, but I don't know. Maybe I should add that to my confusion. I guess I already have. The real problem is that not all lives are equal. Loads of people are poor. Many more aren't happy. Not everyone's good looking. Not everyone's smart. Not everyone's healthy. So this is me trying to come up with possible things to invent things for. So I'm going to try and solve the fact that there's inequality in everything. We reap the benefit of the environment we create for ourselves. That is brilliant. On a planet of ones and zeros, with 1 being good and 0 being bad, if you focus on 1, 1 and assign a random value to how likely it is that 1 is likely to influence at least one of its neighbours to become a 1, 2, how long before the amount of a 1, 2, a 1 as well? How long before the amount of oneness across the globe increases? How does this change relative to the frequency of influencing neighbours? And then I've just got like a load of 1s and 0s and then a 1 in the middle highlighted. So basically, I just wanted to it's basically basically. Ages ago, I talked about how I read once that Tesla was supposedly working on some kind of theory that good people have more good things done to them, and I think that made sense. Obviously, people talk about fucking karma, and I think that's just stupid. The idea that there's some kind of, but I imagine there is some kind of, if you're good people are more likely to develop relationships with themselves and also just the things that they surround themselves with that are likely to have a good return on them. Does that make sense? I just feel like, that makes sense. And I tried to, I was trying to come up with some kind of way of bringing it to 1 to 0, but I'm a moron, so forget about it. Your purpose is to have the best life you can have. Now, yes, I have previously said that no one can give you your purpose, but really this is already your purpose, no matter what purpose you choose. The only reason anyone does anything is to alter their conscious state in some way. People may try to find loopholes like, what if I make my purpose to not enjoy life? Well, then it should be clear that the only reason someone would do that would be to make themselves feel a certain way. In this case, that they had outsmarted my observation. It also might seem like an empty, well, duh kind of statement, but it's not quite. Once you realise, once you realise this, you're more inclined to look more objectively at how your decisions will affect your overall happiness. Any subsequent purposes you derive will all be done in the hope of fulfilling this underlying purpose. It might seem odd at first why one shouldn't seek the life of the junkie if feeling good is the only goal, and it's important to note that the feeling good I'm referring to is far broader than just immediate euphoric highs. It incorporates that, but also takes into account the more stable, reliable, and sustainable feelings that people try to find in having a loving family and finding fulfilling work. An app that lets you track how good you think you're being in order to motivate you to do even better. You assign point values to certain tasks that you do and try to get your daily, weekly, monthly score as high as possible. When I say good, I mean as in being a good person. So let's say you give some money to a homeless person, you might give yourself 50 points, and then that means you got 50 points, and then you thought you were horrible to someone at work, so you give yourself minus 10 points, and then the first week you realise you got 120 points, and now every time you give money to a homeless person that's worth 50 points, and then you start giving more money to homeless people, and then you start being friendly to people, and I've got 1,000 points this week, oh my god, I'm so great. That's the idea. I wonder if there's any truth to my belief that L-tyrosine actually does do anything to fight my so-called depression, and given my belief that all I'm doing is supplementing nutrients that I would otherwise get from food, mainly meat products, I wonder whether there's any link between depression and veganism. That's a big old leap, Ollie. Perhaps there would be an evolutionary selection process that, especially when we became heavily meat dependent, this is where it got a bit ridiculous, that favoured people who were able to catch, kill and eat more meaty animals, and this correlated with the amount of tyrosine and tryptophan they absorbed. Hence, those who failed to catch any prey got less of these nutrients and became depressed, and then maybe they were more likely to die, perhaps even from suicide, or perhaps their ruminations allowed them to devise innovative ways of solving their problems. This sounds too much like wild postulation for me to actually believe it, but it's one of a trillion possibilities. I don't know why I wrote all that out. But yeah, just wondering, I don't know. I think what I need is to create something that I believe will last and that is unique to me. And so obviously, some form of art would seem to be the answer. But I'd need whatever I create to be functional, to serve some kind of purpose. Well, obviously purpose has got some fucking connotations now, the way I've been using it. Other than that, what's a better word? Purpose? Action? Serve some kind of role? No, let's just change the word serve as well. It needs to anyway, other than for me to be proud of it, obviously, or to make people think or whatever. Okay, to serve some kind of purpose, other than for me to be proud of it, obviously, or to make people think or whatever, but to actually solve a problem. There we go, it needs to solve a problem. Hence, invention. So I want to invent something, don't know what. Problem is, I don't really know much that nobody else knows, so it could be interesting. Okay. On God-giving people purpose again, I'd also like to add that the reason people do the things that they believe is their God-given purpose is so that they can get into heaven and avoid damnation, but mainly the heaven thing. And so all I'm arguing, well, part of what I'm arguing, is that their actual purpose, which is the only one which is truly theirs, is to get into heaven. And again, this should be pretty clear that this is something that they believe would make them feel a certain way, and thus, I say, supports my claim that everyone's true purpose is to enjoy life. And that we all already follow this principle without knowing it. They just happen to mistakenly believe that life continues after death. So there we go. So yeah, just to clarify that point, I'm obviously saying that if people believe their God-given purpose was to and stuff, I can. So people say that God gives them the purpose, and the purpose is to be a good person and do unto others as they'd have them done to you, which I actually think is quite a good phrase. Obviously, it doesn't work for masochists. Yes, it doesn't work for masochists. Does it work for sadists, though? I think the masochist would want people to hurt them, so therefore they'd hurt other people in the assumption that they're masochists. And sadists want to hurt other people, but don't want to get hurt, so they wouldn't hurt other people. Interesting, it'll be a flip. Anyway. What was I fucking saying? So the idea that your God-given purpose is to be good is great, obviously. It's very, very, very good. But really the only reason you're doing it, not because God tells you to do it, it's because God tells you to do it would get you into heaven. So the real reason you're doing it is to get into heaven. And then the only reason you're doing that, but why would it matter? If your God-given purpose was to be good, and if you did that, God would put you in hell and torture you forever, why would you refuse that? I mean, if that's your God-given purpose, then surely you have to accept it. You have to accept your eternal damnation. So the only reason you're really doing it is for yourself again. So there you go. Purpose. Anything else I want to say about? I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, also I was wondering about the people who are considered geniuses like our Tesla. I mean, it's pretty clear that he had some kind of high-functioning OCD, and also he had all kinds of weird stuff. Well, at least he wrote things about him supposedly having going to almost comatose-like states for long periods of time. He obviously wouldn't sleep much, a few hours a night. But yeah, he clearly had OCD because he would do the whole walk around a block 3 times before he could go in to a building. Seems to me like Elon Musk has a bit of a kind of low-functioning social anxiety, maybe, even though he obviously does big public speaking, but he doesn't seem that comfortable with it. Maybe kind of, I don't want to say autistic, maybe a little bit of autism, something like that. Nah, that seems a bit cruel. Asperger's, maybe? Nah, seems a bit cruel. But he seems to, obviously people joke about him not really expressing much emotion, but he does kind of talk quite monotonously and not really express a whole lot of emotion. And also I watched a thing where he was talking with his family, his wife, what's her name, that actress, and she made a joke about like, whenever she talks to her parents, she's always talking about running away, going home, something like that. And he was like, oh really? So he obviously didn't get the joke. But I don't know. But then people like Einstein, as far as I'm aware, there didn't seem to be anything wrong with him. Alan Turing, I mean, he was gay, but I think we've all established now that there's nothing wrong with being gay. So stuff that up, you stupid fat asses Christians, you stupid Christians. No, actually, in The Imitation Game, they kind of portrayed him to be a bit of a weird kid when he was younger. But whether that was, yeah, there just seems to be this common. The one thing I can notice is that they all are obsessed with reading, but mainly because most of them live in a time where reading was the main source of information. I mean, they didn't have the internet or anything. So maybe it's just an obsession with learning, the drive to learn that not everyone gets, unfortunately. Yeah. And I wonder if there's what the connection is with, your neurotransmitter levels. Anyway, I think what I'm going to do actually with tyrosine and all that, I'm going to come off tyrosine for a few days. I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to start taking the 5-HTP straight away. I'm going to pick up some phenylalanine, and I might just take a while off all of them, maybe, to see if just being off anything puts me back to exactly where I was. And then I think I'm going to try some phenylalanine and some 5-HTP at night, because I wanted to use the 5-HTP, which also has B6 included in those specific capsules, because that's going to facilitate the conversion of tyrosine to dopamine, and I think it actually converts L-dopa to dopamine. I can't remember, and also thinking to PEA. But yeah, fuck it. Let's go. Let's fucking go. Well, the main reason I want to try the phenylalanine actually is because I'm interested to see whether I didn't quite get. The one thing I never got back was I'm not sure if I had it, but the kind of unconditional love for all creatures, and that's obviously a quite LSD type thing, or mushroom type thing, and supposedly PEA has very similar effects to LSD, or MDMA. I don't fucking know. I don't know the difference. I do know the difference. Fuck you. Hi. Alright, I'm going to end it here because this has clearly gone off the rails.